On Monday, the United States, Egypt, Qatar and Turkey signed a declaration as guarantors of the Gaza peace deal aimed at ending 2 years of war in the region. U.S. President Donald Trump, present at the signing, emphasized that the document will outline detailed rules and regulations to ensure the agreement holds, repeating twice that it is going to hold up. The declaration marks a significant step in formalizing commitments to maintain the ceasefire and oversee the implementation of the Gaza agreement, which includes the release of hostages and prisoners, humanitarian aid, and steps towards lasting peace. Let's get some perspective on this. Dr. Dare Marindoti is a global affairs analyst. He joins us now to discuss the situation and the breakthrough in the Middle East. Thank you for being here tonight. I mean, it's been celebrated as a significant breakthrough, and it's looking, from the ordinary man's point of view, to hold. Talk to us about how significant the role of the United States, Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey as guarantors of this Gaza peace deal.
Well, thank you very much. Yesterday was definitely a very, heartwarming day. It's also heart-wrenching, because a lot of people did not get their family members back. And the war has gone on for quite too long. It was started by a terrorist organization. And this is actually a ceasefire deal. The peace deal is still ongoing because Israel is still going to be in about 51% of Gaza, and some of the hostage bodies have not been returned. But we thank God that all the living hostages are now back with their family, and they can start to, unite. There's a 20-point plan that President Trump presented, which is essentially the same as the one that Biden had given, which started the ceasefire earlier this year. And there are some sticking points in this peace plan that is not being talked about, and the devil is always in the detail. And one of that sticking points is the fact that Hamas has to demilitarize, which I think is about item 6 on the 20-point plan. And Hamas currently has been recorded to be killing civilians inside Gaza, those that were purported to have helped the Israelis during the war. So this is something that is still going to be very difficult. And all the countries that signed that peace plan, they committed to put a force, like a peacekeeping force, on ground. But those peacekeeping forces are supposed to keep the peace, not cause the peace, right? So there has to be a peace first. And there's still, there's a line between the Israeli Defense Force and the Hamas, and there might be friction. So everybody is still working, with pins and needles, and there's still a lot of anxiety in that region. It's just important that what happened yesterday, we need to focus on it, because there are people who for 2 years and 6 days they've not seen their family members, people who just went for a concert, people who are just living in their backyard. About 1,000 people were killed on October 7th, 2023. Over 1,000 people, 258 were, kidnapped. Out of that,
okay, so we know the reality of what happened. It's everywhere. I'm just asking, basically, your thought of the guarantors of this peace deal that it will hold. I want you to speak to that specifically. A lot of challenges still abound. For instance, like rebuilding Gaza, humanitarian efforts, release of hostages. You've highlighted some people are yet to see their loved ones. So talk to us about this peace holding as promised.
Yeah, the peace, that's why I tried to mention that the devil is in the detail. The peace holding as promised is dependent on two people who were not actually even present at the signing yesterday, which was Israel and Hamas. And part of the peace deal is that Hamas needs to demilitarize, drop its guns, and Hamas is unwilling to lose political power. And so that is why definitely a lot of the guarantors, and it's very good what, the president of the United States did, bringing these Arab people, and the president also showing willingness to put pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu, who is the prime minister of Israel. So these people need to sustain that pressure on these people, because they have like a bomb of leverage on them for this peace deal to hold in perpetuity. And there's also going to be a need for a two-state solution. We have to understand that historically, this is a story that started even before the days of the Bible. These are about the most ancient people on earth. So there are so many long-standing issues that will not be fixed by this peace deal. However, all the members that signed this peace deal cannot claim victory right now. They have to stay engaged and sustain the pressure. Otherwise, the situation is very volatile and there might be a breakdown of security. Already today, Israel has already accused Hamas of not fulfilling its own part of the deal.
So, you're basically saying the situation is fluid and everybody stays on their toe and not go relax that some peace deal has been signed. But let's talk about issues around this peace deal. The UK, we know, hosts talk. As of yesterday, I was hosting talks about Gaza reconstruction. We also know that dozens of top officials from the Middle East and European nationals were with leading global financial institutions to talk about rebuilding the devastated Gaza. Talk to us about how that will work, really.
And that is also, everything still goes back to, the peace holding, because nobody wants to throw their money into fire, right? So if you want to rebuild...
Let's go on the basis that the peace is holding for now and talk about how do we start?
Yeah, the reconstruction has to start with Hamas has to drop its weapon, because Hamas is a terrorist organization, and even the Middle Eastern countries that have volunteered to invest will not want to put their money in the reconstruction if Hamas is still there killing Gaza civilians. So for this development to be able to occur, that is why these things are still very fluid and there still needs to be sustained pressure. For this development to occur, definitely what some have suggested, some experts have suggested, is that maybe the part where Israel is controlling, they can start development there and bring the Gaza people into that place, and then from there they can expand out. But the pressure has to sustain, because for you to rebuild, there has to be peace. And yes, the peace, there's been a lot of ceasefires even in the 2-year course of this war, and they've always, sometimes escalated unilaterally or by both parties, violating it. So the peace has to be sustained for a long period of time. According to the plan, the peacekeeping force and the governing force that Indonesia is also a part of, we need to move those peacekeeping forces to the place. And after that, can we then now start seeing potentials of investment? Because that place definitely can be invested in, and it can be like the new Qatar or something. But the peace has to be kept, and for the peace to be kept, the terrorists who are terrorizing, the primary victim of the Hamas terrorism is not even the Israelis. It is the citizens of Gaza who are currently, right now, we are talking, being killed by these terrorist organizations. So the peace has to be sustained before we can develop that place.
That's the heart of your submission tonight, working to remain peaceful in the long term. Thank you very much, Doctor, for speaking with us.